we are going to go over putting the valve cover, cylinder head cover, whatever you want to call it, on the CB350. So first, a couple things. This is not ready for the cylinder head cover. There is still gasket material stuck on here that needs to be taken off. I'm going to ignore that because this video is not about that. So this is your cylinder head cover, and this breather, this lets excess blow-by oil, or when there's too much pressure in here and there's maybe too much oil, this has a hose on it, and this lets some of it get out so the pressure doesn't build up too much. So you're going to put your gasket on, and this is a common motor gasket. If you take a look at how it goes on, always turn it around, flip it, make sure that you have it the best possible way. Make sure that the holes are lined up and that it's not too far off center. They never match up. No gasket in my experience ever matches up absolute perfectly every single time, every single hole. But there's definitely a wrong way and a right way for this gasket. Look at this. I can't get this gasket on this way. If you are trying to put your gasket on and things are this far from lining up, then you know it's incorrect. You know that you have it on incorrect. So I'm going to rotate it, and it drops very nicely on here. This hole lines up, and it has a second hole here because I'm guessing because you can also do it this way and it still is good to go. So it doesn't matter. There are two right ways and two wrong ways to put this gasket on. So once you have it on, you can take your cylinder head cover, and assuming that the gasket is removed from here, which it is not on mine also, this needs to be shiny and clean, which I will get to eventually, but this video is not about gaskets. It's about torquing down the cylinder head cover. You're going to put this on, and sometimes these studs are a little bit warped and they might not fit exactly on there, but do your best to get it on, get it even, get it snug. And you have, hopefully in a bag, 8 pretty fat washers and 8 acorn nuts. So these washers, I call them fat washers because they're really thick. These guys are way thicker than most washers that we've been using on this engine up till now. Okay, go ahead and put a washer over each stud. And take your acorn nuts and finger tight each acorn nut. Okay. All 8 are finger tight. According to the climber manual on page 77, Step number 19 says install cylinder head cover and tighten nuts evenly to 14 foot-pounds in the order shown in figure 98, which is figure 98 right here. 14 foot-pounds. So you need your torque wrench out. And my torque wrench doesn't have the correct units of measurement according to the book. Mine show Newton meters and inch pounds. So 14 foot-pounds is the same as 168 inch pounds. 14 times 12. If you look at these gradations here, it goes from 100, 150 to 200. So if I get this needle to go to directly in between, halfway between 150 and 150 and 200, that's 175. That's a little too much. So I thought, well, maybe I'll convert inch pounds to Newton meters and see if the measurement numbers match up a little better. And it turns out that 168 inch pounds is the same as 19 Newton meters. So when I tighten this thing up, I'm going to stop tightening when this red needle gets to just about 20, like right about there, I'm going to stop. So if you have a torque wrench that has foot-pounds on it, then you'll be stopping at 14. If you have a torque wrench that doesn't have this is called a beam type torque wrench because it's got this beam right here that goes across the top. If you have the kind that has a clicking mechanism down on the handle here that you turn back and forth, eventually you're going to set it to 14, and that's where you're going to tighten these nuts until you hear a click. Another good practice you should get into is you're not going to tighten these to 14 right off the bat. It's important that we go halfway first and then we go all the way. We don't want to over tighten anything. We don't want anything to be so much tighter than anything else that it puts too much pressure on the gasket and squeezes it too much in one spot and not enough in another. So we're going to go in increments. So if I'm going to go to, eventually I'm going to go to 19 Newton meters, which is the same as 168 inch pounds, which is the same as 14 foot-pounds, I am going to go halfway first. So first I'm going to tighten each acorn nut to 10 Newton meters, and I'm going to do that in the proper order according to the manual. And then I'm going to go back and I'm going to do all of them again to 19. So right now, going by the order of which ones have to be tightened first through 8, I'm going to go to 10. So the manual shows essentially that you start in the middle and you start tightening and you go out. So the middle are going to be these 4. The manual basically says crisscross and then crisscross on the outside. And that tightens it evenly so that the gasket doesn't get squeezed incorrectly. It should go from inside out. All right. So the drawing on page 76 shows this orientation. So it shows 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And that's the order we're going to be tightening this. To 10. So it starts here, right? Yep. right here. I'm going to turn this until my red pointer gets to 10. Number 2 is here. Is also the 10. I'm going to zoom out. Maybe easier to see what's going on with the torque wrench. So I did bolt 1, bolt nut 1, nut 2, this is 3, and now you should notice that they are no longer all finger tight. Now that I've tightened these 2, it's brought the cylinder head cover down a couple thousandths of an inch, and that means all of these are a little bit loose now. So you can give it a little bit of a twist. Okay, nut number 3. Turning this around to 10 foot-pounds or 10 Newton meters right there. And number 4. These 4 are tightened halfway. And bolt nut number 5. Everything might, yep. You can give these a little bit more of a turn. So 5 is here. Going to 10 Newton meters, which is the same as 7 foot-pounds. We should be tightening all 8 of these to 7 foot-pounds right now. Number 7. Last one, acorn nut number 8. All right, all 8 of these acorn nuts are now tightened halfway. And that is 7 foot-pounds, which is the same as 84 inch-pounds, which is the same as 10 Newton meters. So depending on what kind of measurement units you have on your torque wrench, that should be your first go. Now I'm going to tighten them to the proper and final foot-pound measurement, which is 14 foot-pounds, which is 168 inch-pounds, which is 19 Newton meters. So use whatever you got to use and do the exact same thing in the exact same order that we just did it. Now it's going to start, this is getting pretty tight, and you're going to need to hold one hand on the engine because it's going to spin the engine. So as soon as I start turning this, that pointer is going to start off at 10. And I'm going to go, oh, it doesn't start off at 10. Interesting. I'm going to go to 19. And this engine is going to want to rotate because 19 is a decent amount of twist. Right now I'm about 15 and oh. Yeah, that's about 19. Nut number 2. $15. 17, 18, 19. 1, 2, 3. 15. And it's about 19. Number 4. 15. Okay, the 4 center ones are done. We're going to do 5, 6, 7, 8. There's 15, 16, 17, 18, and 19. All right, got number 6. Seven. That's about 19. And the last one, nut number 8. Okay, all 8 acorn nuts are torqued down to their proper torque spec. No tighter, no looser, and that's it. You're good.